Yay, we are back. I'm so tickled about today's guest. We have Angela on with us today, and she is what I would call the queen of challenges. And that's because not because she creates challenges for everyone around her, but she does it in a way that's positive and that helps people's business grow. So we'll talk to her about how she got started. And I know she also knows our previous guests very well, just like I do. And it's super fun to do stuff like that. But for some reason, hopefully this will unfold. But Angela and I've had a little bit of trouble connecting. I think this is probably the longest time I've ever tried to connect with someone and get them on the show. We've been both very busy people, and we've both posted. I think attempted to do this more than once. So I'm so excited to finally have her on the air with us. And so that's why you see me with absolutely no makeup on and completely wet hair, but that's part of it. And I just got through explaining to her that we don't edit this particular show, so whatever goes, goes. So we're going to find out whether it was a good thing or it was the universe trying to tell us, hey, work harder to make this happen, or if it was them saying, oh, man, you shouldn't have done that. So with that caveat, I hope you'll help me welcome Angela. Welcome in, Angela. Oh, here we go. Universe is telling us she doesn't want to talk. Let's see. We've got your face. Let's see if we can get you're muted for some reason. Is that on your side? By the way, this is oh, there, I can hear you now. No, we just heard you talking.
How about now?
Yay, we heard you typing. Now we can hear you.
Okay, good. I think I muted, unmuted, and muted again.
Have you heard of Mercury being in retrograde right now? It's supposedly a very physical thing where magnetics are just slightly off, and so our technology doesn't work quite as well.
Well, thank you for having me and for being persistent. And don't worry, the technology will be okay. I think I got it. I think we're okay. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your persistence in us connecting. Because yes, same here. We've had to like really get on the right page to connect, and I appreciate it. And I'm excited to be here and to whatever comes up. I'm totally good with not editing, so sounds fun.
All right, great. I do have a question for you. I said that you are the queen of challenges, and that's because you set out, like, I swear I'll just get through looking at one of the challenges you put out, and then you've put out another one. So I have trouble just keeping up with the amount of content that you put out there. But how would you describe what it is that you do?
For my club, what you're talking about, those challenges that you're seeing come out, those are monthly challenges. But I would actually describe myself, if I were to say the queen of something, which, I like the idea of queen of something, but I haven't put the crown on yet. But I would call myself the queen of taking action. So those challenges might look like there are a lot of content, but some of the actual tasks are like, go do a blog post. They're like 5 words. Because I'm like telling people in the challenges, we're like focused on the action part of it. And so I put it in a challenge form, and I put it in a 10-day form to get people to take action. Because I know when I did like longer challenges, like 30-day challenges, people kind of fade off a little bit. But 10 days seems to be like a really, really good time frame. And it goes from Monday to Friday. So that is what I do for my membership. Like every month, I want to get them taking small actions that build momentum and get them results. So that's what I group, but it's so much more than that. Like, it's a community. We meet, have like brainstorming, and we have we'll meet for hot seats and stuff like that. And it's just growing, and I've got a great community of awesome business owners. That's where my focus is, and that's kind of what I do.
Okay, so your avatar, the people that you help, are small business owners like myself that are basically work from home online, or are there's something else?
Yeah, there are definitely mostly people who work from home online. And I just was getting messages in like a podcast, hearing this information of people saying niche down a little bit more. And just recently I like kind of polling my people and seeing like who do I attract the most. And it just kind of light bulb went off to me that, you know, when I quit my job in 2007, I was a virtual assistant, and I transitioned from virtual assistants from services to information products. And I've attracted a large portion of market. So it'd be like virtual assistants, coaches, people doing other services, even like kind of like stuff like yoga, or, you know, stuff you wouldn't even necessarily qualify as online marketing. But if the bottom denominator or common denominator, I guess, in most people is that they're service based, but they want to add more passive, and they're online for sure, mostly online, or somehow taking something offline and bringing it online. One member has like an antiques and like gifts shop but she wants, you know, more online income, and so she works on that part of it too. So it's really a cool variety, but there are some common threads throughout.
How cool. Okay, so I love that. So we do have similar people that we work with. Like when I show people how to do content marketing, they're all over the place too. But most of them, they can have brick and mortar, or most of them understand the value of being online. But right now, my current project is helping people actually create a book and offline, so they can get more offline type of gigs. So it kind of
Oh, that's
kind of play
cool.
both. So they
Yeah.
call that an offliner. So that's awesome. And I love that I didn't represent what you said. Queen, we have the queen over my shoulder here and the king over here. And I love that we were calling you the queen. These
Yeah,
are
that is
new
cool.
setups from an antique store. So so far so good. We're riding the wave.
Wow. Yeah. And
We're not hearing you again. There
how
we
about
go.
now? It
Yeah.
keeps the universe is
You
muting
know
me.
lots of language.
I talk with my hands.
That's great. That's great. I'm from a Greek family, so we do that too. We do like, what were you saying about the ball?
That was the heart symbol.
Oh,
I
right.
put a heart on my post, and you also have a heart behind you.
All right. Must be
Oh.
a symbol. Must be so far so good. Angela, tell us, how did you get started doing what you're doing? Obviously, I can see in you that right now you're taking everything that you probably learned to get yourself online, just like I did, and helping, because that turned out to be the fun and the thing that you ended up being passionate with, and that's how you ended up. So can you briefly explain to us, because the people that watch us or subscribe are still kind of trying to figure out where they're going with their online world, and how they can make that decision. So how did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how far back you go, I can talk about like super quick. I'll just tell you, a friend in college gave me a piece of HTML code, and she said you can put a page up with that on the internet. And I was like, that seems cool. So I took the page and I went to like Yahoo GeoCities, and that was like way back start. And that was just for fun. Like I was just kind of doing that for hobby. But then when my son was born, I I really just decided that I didn't want to go back to work, because I did have like I was on the path to a career in chemical engineering, technology, environmental, so completely unrelated. And I get a little bit worried that you can't hear me now that I've
Oh, I
been
can hear
mute.
you. I can hear you. I'm just like looking at you like chemical. What a what? I have 3 degrees too, but not the only one in science is the business in science. So
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of picked it. I just had to pick something. I picked chemistry because I was good at chemistry and got a diploma in that. But you know, that wasn't the path. As soon as my son was born, I was like, I want to be home with him. I don't want to go back. And in Canada we get a year off. So it kind of makes you think, you know, a year is like when you think you only got 3 months, you know you're going back real soon, but a year gives you like this breathing room to kind of say, okay, well, I'd like to start a business in that year. And so that's what I did. I started one when he was like 4 months old. I started selling soaps and bath salts and bath bombs because in my chemistry, we did a lab on how to make soap. And so I made handmade soap as a hobby.
Awesome.
And
Okay.
yeah, and so I started Rain Kissed was my business, and I put up my website because based on my friend in college who had given me the sheet of HTML, I knew how to do some HTML. I started making websites, and I did a variety of things from then forth. Became like a bit of a serial entrepreneur, but learned a lot. And the Rain Kiss business was soaps, bath salts, and it wasn't just online. It was like, I went home parties, I went into retailers. I was like going at it from all angles, which I don't necessarily recommend because you should really focus. I didn't know anything about business, but the part I loved was online. So the part that just stuck with me from there forward was every business. I was learning more and more about putting up websites, e-commerce, like email marketing, all that stuff. And it takes me to where I am today. I had various jobs kind of to supplement as I was figuring stuff out. In 2007, I quit my last job and I haven't been employed ever since. So
Wow. Yeah, you
that's my
have
story.
a really badass boss. You have the queen of action as your boss. So you have definitely been working. And that's amazing. I didn't realize that you were such a techie. And I think I could just see the meme now. It might be, I have been known to make memes for my guests. So be on the lookout. But I can just see it right now. Chemistry class taught me how to be a bath bomb creator. So that's awesome. And that is the bomb. Forget the queen crown. You're the bomb. That's, I love it. I just got into bath bombs like last Christmas. They're amazing. They're really awesome. So if you haven't looked, do you still have that website? You probably just kind of
No.
stepped.
And
A lot of work,
I was selling essential.
right?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, because it's a lot of work to create that, like that's physical.
Hmm.
Not that what you're not doing isn't work, but that's
Yeah,
plus they have an expiration date and it's manual labor. Yeah.
it was manual. I did partner with my dad. So in the early part, I partnered with my dad, who was great at like he made like big um, molds for the soaps, and he helped me mix a lot of stuff. So it was really interesting. Definitely long gone now, but I was selling essential oils, before everybody was buying them like they do now. If I had stuck with it, I would be on trend, but it was a while ago.
That's so I think one of the lessons that we can learn is you had a why first. Would you agree with that? You had a why. You had, and
Mhm.
bless Canada for giving you a year to figure that out with your little one. That's really awesome. I was lucky enough to build my one of my businesses while my children were young too. I actually did daycare before I had my kids. Like I had lost a child. So I invited other people's kids into my home and then I stayed with them but I was working 12-hour days and my house wasn't my own, and I expanded that to 3 locations and eventually was
Wow.
able to move out. And when they got into school, I became a school teacher, like right the same year. So, everything was about my kids. Well, now my youngest are going they're graduating high school this year. So
Wow.
I get to do whatever I want to do. And I'm moving more into that backpack lifestyle of, I'm still taking on clients for transcription services and writing content and all of that. But I can do that from anywhere there's a connection. And I don't always have to have one. I can go up to the mountain and write the contact and just go back down and send it to them from there. So
Nice.
yeah. The only thing is I need my little $150 computer with me pretty much wherever I go. But
I love that.
I love what you're describing though is you had your why first. You were able to find out your degree didn't go to waste as a chemistry student. You're able to find something that was uniquely you. You were able to bring other family members into it. Dad was great at helping you make molds. That's awesome. but ultimately where you are now, where you've been for how long would you say? Because I know you've been helping other businesses for a number of years now. How long would you say you've been doing that?
I started the services in 2006, and I was working in a factory at the time. And you're frozen, I think. Can you hear me still? I'm not sure if we're still connecting, but I'll go ahead as if we are, and then I'll just backtrack if we're not, because you have been frozen, but it still says live. So I started services in 2006, and then I stopped doing services in 2012. But now I do some coaching, so I'm kind of back into it. So for 11 years, I've been helping other people with their business. And hey, you're back just as I finished. Like, I totally answered your question. Because I thought I would keep going and just see what happens. And if I had to say it again, I would.
Wow, I'll have to go back and watch the replay.
The short answer is 11 years.
Wow, okay. So that's how long you've been helping others. That's awesome. I've only been in this area of things for 7. So I think that one of the lessons I'm learning today is just X Mercury retrograde off the calendar. I have never been kicked off my own live before.
It was still saying live, and you were kind of just frozen. I'm like, okay, you're frozen, but I'll just go ahead and see see if you come back once I'm done, because it still said live. So I'm like, well, maybe it's still working.
Wow, that's funny. I was just like, wow, don't panic. I kept telling myself, don't panic.
Angela's got it. I go with the flow here, so I held the fort. Okay. Like the queen. She's telling me what to do.
All right. Well, we're so let me just summarize like where you're going, because again, I'm thinking about the person who's watching and saying, I'd love helping small businesses, but I don't know anything yet. Or actually, the one that I know I've talked to a lot of people lately, we call them scanners. And they're people who, and I might fall into this, but I found that most of the stuff that I do is under one umbrella. Like I have pretty much, like people ask me how long I've been an entrepreneur. And the truth is that I think I earned my first quarter when I was 4 years old, and I sold like a sing and dance show to somebody walking down the street.
That's about when I earned my first quarter, because I sold rocks. I sold rocks on the end of my driveway.
Yay! All right. Yeah, and I mean, through high school, I sold candy to friends, and and I mean, like candy that I bought at the store. And I found out my little brothers kind of did the same thing. We all got in trouble from it, but they couldn't really do anything about it. But I think I've always had that, and I have literally, if you go look at my what we call social security records here, and you see like what businesses have paid my taxes, now I'm in trouble, man, because I have been an entrepreneur way longer than I have worked for anyone else. And it's I've had to come to the conclusion that working for someone else just does, and I've always worked for my clients, but it just doesn't work out for me. Health wise, I collapse. If I try working for someone else, I literally collapse. And it was, anyway, so your story is that so the thing I was talking about was a scanner. So sometimes there are people who want to, they get interested in something, and then they get interested in something else. And sometimes in our industry, we call that shiny object syndrome, where we go and we kind of chase after everything and we don't ever do anything about it. Mm-hmm. But that's not what I'm talking about here, because there are ways to bring in all of your interests and encompass them and still be helpful and still make money. And I think that you're a great example to say you made a success of something, and then you just kind of went where your successes and where your passions were. And I think that a lot of us can really learn from that.
Yeah, there's a really important message in there, and I'm hearing feedback now. I'm hearing myself, so it's kind of distracting me. Is there something like going on with your?
No, I just.
Oh no! Now it's stopped. So okay, I think I can talk now. I think the important message is, and I actually interviewed a guy who said something really similar to this, but it has been consistent throughout from when I started, because I started to be home for my son, but that morphed into, just loving the freedom of it all and realizing there is a better way to live than working for someone else. But the consistent message is like, if someone who is maybe frustrated because they're not reaching their goals, or they're not, at an income level, or they're not finding the right business for them, the consistent thing I had was wanting to have success in the way that I could be home for my kids. I could, have an income that supported me, grow that income. It didn't really matter to me what way that happened, as long as I was serving people, they were happy. So I did try a lot of different things, and I think people really get down on themselves for that. And I know I did, right? So I know I was like, oh, I can't figure this out, or I'm really frustrated and I'm not doing the right things, or getting to the right place. But I think that if you're constantly okay with pivoting, that word is used a lot in kind of Silicon Valley, is it? With just continuing to find what fits for you, because we try to fit ourselves into different molds, but figure out, allow creativity. I talked about